I'm about to blow you away with this amazing story. Okay, so you know I've lost 140 pounds. Okay, and stick with me because there's 3 interesting stories that all weave together here. So super quick recaps on each of the 3. Story number 1 was right here in this living room. Back in the fall of 2020, we shipped 10,000 books from this living room via the US Post Office. The story went viral because it took heroic efforts of the rural postmasters in this region to even handle the orders logistically. Background story 2. The only reason this tiny little post office still exists is that about a decade ago, when it was slated to be cut, there was a groundswell of public support to keep these tiny little post offices. 3. My family on my dad's side, they were poor Dust Bowl Okies, as they're called here in California. They migrated in 1935 from a tiny mountain community in Arkansas called Fox. The family name is Morrison. My great-great-grandmother, Gracie Morrison, married Rankin Rose. My grandpa was 21 years old when he moved to California in search of a better life. They found extreme poverty and hardship. When my dad was born, they lived in a tent on the Sacramento River. They were musicians. They played fiddles, banjos through those farm camps, drinking their moonshine, rolling their own smokes. They had a rough, hard life. The 1935 migration of the Morrison Roses really did have devastating consequences for the family. And how the 3 come together. So on a lark, I'm Googling the history of Fox, Arkansas. Okay, so this is where the poor fiddling family came from in 1935. And I see something that blows my mind. That movement back 10 years ago that saved this little post office started in Fox, Arkansas. I found a New York Times article that quoted a Morrison, surely one of my kinfolk. The New York Times story is a heartfelt story about the role of the post office in rural America and how critical it is to the survival of rural America that we preserve these small little post offices. And it led with a story of a small post office in Arkansas. Let me read it to you. People over a certain age here remember what happened to Mozart. It sat there perfectly content for years, a little community on a crooked mountain road in the southern Ozarks. Then one day they closed the post office. Now Mozart is a place on the road where only those who knew it was there would know it was there. This New York Times article also quoted a Morrison who I was sure as I read it and was getting knocked out of my chair is a relative of mine. So what did I do? Of course, I Googled everybody in the article trying to figure out who was a relative, who was even Googleable, who I could contact. And I contacted a lady in Fox, Arkansas named Renee Carr, not a relative of mine, but in fact, the executive director of the Rural Community Alliance in Arkansas. And I contacted her on both LinkedIn and Facebook and tried not to seem like a big old stalker. I didn't hear back, but how many people never even check their DMs anywhere? I mean, how many of us do that? Okay, but one of these days I'll have to go to Fox and just check this out because I was fascinated. I was already deeply engaged in the story. And that was sometime in late August, early September. It was then October 6th. I actually had 2 media interviews that day. I had spent weeks on new information content at Eat Like a Bear. I had been so busy, and I went into these media interviews thinking, you know what? After these interviews, I really need to do something different with my life. I've got to get out. What am I going to do? I need to go somewhere. And literally between the 2 interviews, I get a response from Renee Carr. And she's all excited too. And oh my goodness, we're so excited to meet each other. And about this connection, our post office connection, the fact that my kinfolk from Arkansas apparently saved my little post office so that we could use it to send out 10,000 books and end up in the US Postal Service magazine on top of that with one of the best stories of all time. And that was due to my family that I had long since lost touch with. But that's not even the best part of the story, you guys, because in the message to her, I said, by the way, when we were shipping all those books, we actually had a painting here in the living room, a painting that is of the Fox, Arkansas post office that we bought when we were back there in 1971. And she said, can I see it? Well, I was busy in those interviews. I said, when I get home, I'll send it to you. So I sent it to her. And immediately I could see that it wasn't the Fox post office. And I felt a little bit of disappointment because I thought, wow, wouldn't it be something if when those books were getting shipped right here in our living room, we had a painting of the post office that symbolizes the saving of all the post offices in rural America. which is how we were able to ship those actual books. Wouldn't that be something? And so that was Thursday night. It was early Friday morning. I get another message from her because she then went to her own network to ask, what is this actually a painting of? And I don't know. I think we're about to find out how many people actually know what this post office was, because it is a place on the road where only those who knew it was there would know it was there. The painting in my living room is the post office in Ozark, Arkansas, featured in the New York Times article about rural post offices being the heart and soul of rural America. We bought it in 1971 on the road in Arkansas. I haven't been back there since. I was 2.5 years old. My mom kept the painting for about 25 years and was going to thrift it or something. When my sister saved it, she said, I've got to have this. And so she kept it for about 25 years and she gave it back to me. I don't know how we even have it. But especially once I learned about the Fox tie-in with a post office and my own family connections in Fox, I just really felt like I needed to go back to Fox. Of course, I'd lost touch with my family and I thought, maybe I'll just show up and introduce myself at the post office. I would do that when Renee Carr, in fact, responded to my message and then urged me to come out because there are these festivals and surely I want to go while there are festivals. Of course, yes, I do. And the whole thing has sort of snowballed. I mean, we have a piece of cultural folk art here in our living room that really is a symbol of fighting to preserve life in rural America. And I wanted to make this video now. I'm about to go to Fox. I don't know where any of this is taking us. I just wanted to kind of preserve my feeling right now. Like, let's see where the story goes, how it all unfolds, what we're even going to do with this painting that's nearly been lost I don't know how many times, that I would have easily thrifted, that maybe as I clean out my house now, I mean, how likely was it that I was going to thrift it? I don't know, maybe pretty likely. So I record this and in about 12 hours, I'll be on a plane. Stay tuned.